Lockie here from K-On, and today we're installing the UHF center console and handpiece mount for the Prado 250. So you're getting ready for a big trip. One of the most important things to consider is how communications is mounted to your vehicle and how the whole system works. So most of the time, you're always thinking about where you're going to put the antenna and where it sits on your vehicle to get the most coverage. But I believe it's also super important to figure out where your UHF is mounted, because you're going to be using it on your trips all the time talking to your mates. So what we've got here is the UHF handpiece mount connected right to your dash, frees up all the clutter. The console itself is mounted down behind all your center console, so it's completely out of the way. There's no cables running anywhere. Super clean and super easy to use. So you're driving along right where you want it to be. It's important to mention that both the handpiece mount and the center console mount are compatible with most market-leading brands. For example, GME, Oricrom, Uniden, and many others. Let's get into the install. Okay, so we've got our console mount here. What we're going to be doing is mounting this fella with the radio company's bracket underneath with the supplied hardware that they give you. So we've got this guy here. That guy will sit underneath here with the mounting holes. Sit like so, with the threads sticking upwards, because you don't want the thread to be piercing into the back of your radio. So that'll go on like so. Okay, then with a little Allen key and spanner, we will tighten them up. Make sure that it's sitting pretty parallel with it. Alright, now that's done, I'm going to use these little finger nubs that we got, and then the console the right way up. That'll slip in like so. And then line the holes up with the bracket, like so. And on the other side. Okay, so tighten those up. There we go. So the next step, we'll be mounting this guy back underneath the computer here. So what we'll need to do is unbolt these nuts here from the threads, just a little bit. So loosen them off a little bit, and then this guy here will just slot into behind it and underneath. But before we do this, you'll need to make sure that you've got all your wiring set up. So we'll leave this up to you guys, but I'll tell you how we've done it. We've got this power cable piggybacked off one of the USB-C cables that run behind this dash here. So this guy pops out, so I'll show you a little bit of it, but it pops out like so, and you'll need to unclip these, the pleather dash parts here that hold the front piece in place. So once you've got all that done, this guy will pop out and you unplug it. We soldered onto the back of it, but there are looms that you can buy that will replace that wiring harness, so you'll have an additional wire that you can route your 12 volt to. That, however, means that your UHF will turn on only as the car's on. If you prefer to have your UHF on if the car's off, you can wire it straight to your battery with the necessary fuses and whatnot. But we'll go ahead. So we've got our 12 volt power, we've got our antenna cable, and we've also got our handpiece. So I've just wrapped them around and chucked them down here, but once we're all in place, we'll get it all neat and tidy and zip tie it out of the way. So we'll go ahead and wire everything in. We've got the antenna cable here, and we'll grab a spanner to tighten that up. So we've got that guy there, tight enough. We've got the power, goes in the back side of it, and also the handpiece mount. Oh, sorry, the handpiece cable, the mic, that goes there. So I'm using the GME extension handpiece cable, so that gives us an extra a meter or so of cable, and you can run that behind and through the driver's footwell, so out the side here. The antenna cable I've got routed through a rubber grommet behind the battery in the engine bay. So that runs, you have to run that through the firewall, behind the dash, and up into behind here. Okay, so we've got all these cables in the way. We'll get them down and sort of pushed to the side, and this guy will be passed in like so, wrap around the back side of it, and then get it into a position where we can slide it up on these M6 bolts, which we'll undo first. Should be handy. Alright, they're loose. We'll just undo them a little bit more so we've got some room to play with. And then we are here and pushing this up behind this guy. So you'll need to get it in between the two plates. So there's the mounting from behind the dash and the bracket that holds the computer on. But once you get it all lined up, we'll just slot in like so. So you can see that's sitting in between the two pieces. And then we'll tighten this back down and get it sitting in place. Alright, we'll grab our 10mm socket. Okay, and tighten it up. Okay, that's it all mounted. Now we'll tidy up these cables and zip tie them into place down below. And now we've got that sorted. We've got the bracket mounted. Next step is we're going to be putting the dash back together. So this will take me a little bit longer than you guys, hopefully, because I'll be plugging everything back in, but pretty much doing it in reverse. We've got this larger panel. I've got my plug hanging around somewhere. This guy sits in the back of it. Nope, that way. Okay, got this guy. He will sit over the top. Again, sliding in the back of it. Make sure all the cables are out of the way. There's two pins on the front of it, so that'll slide into the front. And we've got everything out of the way. Clip it down. This guy can sit back into its little hole as well. Next, we've got the mode selector. So again, I'm plugging in the cables. And then we've got that sitting and pushed back into place, like so. Now, shifter, I'm gonna put my shift lock release button back in, not an add. And that goes in like so. Careful when you're putting this boot back over to not pierce or catch on the leather. Oh. Plugs. So, 1, 2, 3. Over the shifter, holding the button, and then clipping it into place. Alright, we're in now, putting the shroud back on. Last step, oh, we've got a couple steps to go actually. Wings go back on, so this guy's the left one with the extra bit at the top. Push it in towards the dash and then clip it sideways. Other side, same situation, towards the dash and then in. Alright, now with the clip that we haven't lost and the shifter that goes in the top and that slides it in from the back careful not to drop it, and you'll need to push it towards us. All right, you'll hear it click, boots back up, and the dash is complete. Now we're going to move on to the handpiece mount. So with our handpiece cable, I've run the extension back and down to the left side of the driver's footwell. We've got it here, so what I'll do is I'm just going to plug it into this guy and then cable tie it back up into a neat spot. And then with this handpiece, that'll run upwards to the top of the dash. I've got here the GME handpiece mount, the magnetic one. So these parts, as well as the others, have a back plate that I'm just going to remove. So it's easy to take off, just a small Allen key and it'll pop off. That's that guy there. We've got the front, and this will be mounted to the dash with this TPU, sort of like a rubbery, squishy 3D print, and that'll attach to the dash so that sort of like a barrier, so it doesn't damage or scuff your dash here. So that sits in place. It's also locates into place too. It's got a beveled edge on the side here that it follows the factory trim line. So that sits in place, and you can slide it across so that it sits into the right spot there. So like that. Next, to keep it all snug, we've got the stainless steel bracket. Now this works as more of a clamping mechanism rather than the mount. So that just folds over the top here, you press it into position and it'll clip in like so. So that's super sturdy. With the front plate, we've got the supplied screws that we give you. We're going to be screwing the front plate onto the mount, and these screws are just long enough that they screw into the TPU, but not further too far enough that it penetrates into your dash. So we'll screw them in like so. I want it the other way so the GME logo is upright. So a little bit annoying because it's magnetic, but once you got your screwdriver in the right spot, that'll screw in like so. And the other guy, same situation. Put them in there. Okay, now that's all mounted. Got our handpiece that we've connected up behind the dash, like so. So in a really nice position. It's not in front of the engine start-stop button. Runs along the side, and you can get the cable with enough tension that it sits firm against your front of your dash here. It's not in your leg room. It's in a perfect position, right next to your hand when you're driving. Doesn't get in the way of indicators or anything. Perfect spot, really. And if a passenger wanted to use it, they can do that too. There you go.